In order to succeed, we have to work hard. It's a truism we've heard a million times, but it ignores a crucial aspect of reality. In order to be on, we must sometimes be off. The tricky part then becomes, how do we utilize our off time in a way that benefits our on time? This is harder than it sounds, because if you're on vacation and constantly obsessing about what you need to do when you get back to work, then your brain never left your office chair. You are not being productive and you aren't resting, the ultimate waste of time. If you often find yourself sitting in front of a screen or staring at an unfinished project with no motivation to keep going, then chances are you need to turn off even though you feel like you haven't been doing enough. I'm Grant, here with my fellow host Augie, and today we're going to talk about how to stop so you can properly start again. If you're having trouble being on when you want to be, chances are it's your off function that's actually broken. Let's talk about how to get real, restorative rest and how to properly take a break. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is what kind of break are you taking? Obviously, when it comes to rest, the first thing to know is what kind of rest are you trying to get? I broke it down into 4 categories here. Curious if you agree with these categories, Augie. They are a break during the workday, so this could be just, a short 10-20 minute break. Maybe it's your lunch break, which usually is probably closer to 30 minutes, an hour, or it could just be a short walk around the block. But point is, this is just something that kind of interrupts your workday in a positive way. The next one is a short vacation, pretty self-explanatory. A long vacation, also explanatory, and an indefinite hiatus. So we'll get into what all of these are. But first, Augie, am I missing any break types here? Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I think that definitely covers all the possibilities as far as clearing your mind and taking a break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think sometimes it can be weirdly difficult to know when it's worth taking a break. So I think the first example here is good. So a break during the workday. The purpose here is to do something that resets your brain. I think we can all relate to having a tired feeling when we are in the thick of it. Maybe we hit a kind of block. We're working on a script or a video or whatever, and there's something that doesn't feel like it's connecting, and we feel kind of tired, and we don't know what to do. And the first thing you might want to do is start looking at your smartphone and kind of scrolling through social media, just finding something that is that you can distract yourself with. And this is when you should just take a break. I think there can be a guilt associated with not working or not being able to figure something out right now. And often the way that we deal with that is to distract ourselves. So what I'm saying here is don't distract yourself, take a conscious break. And the best way to do that is, it kind of depends, right? What's the weather like outside? What are you feeling like? But these are just some examples of a productive break you can take. So reading is a good one. Reading is kind of like chill. It's just a book. There's no screen. You can't end up on YouTube or TikTok by accident. Just read a book for however long. And that, I find, resets my brain and kind of gets me, weirdly enough, in the mood to work, because it's almost the opposite of the kind of high-intensity video editing or the pressures of writing. By taking the pressure off and kind of relaxing a bit, I'm able to come back to it with a fresh perspective, even though it's kind of a short thing. Other good things, of course, exercise, meditation, simply going for a walk. All these things are ways to kind of break up the day, reset your brain, and help you think in a different way, and not just distract yourself. Can you think of anything else, Augie, that maybe I didn't mention here?
Yeah, for me personally, you mentioned exercise, but for me, I like having my breaks kind of mapped out. I know that Wednesdays and Fridays, I'm gonna, in the middle of the day at noon, I'm gonna go and play basketball. And so when those days are coming, when it's Tuesday night and I know the next day I'm going to go spend, 2 hours of my workday playing basketball, I will make sure that I get all my work done that I need to get done for that day, even before 12 o'clock, right? So like that's the day that I'm waking up a little bit earlier. I'm, not, messing around in the morning. Maybe I, don't shower in the morning and shave and do all that. I just hop up out of bed, brush my teeth, get on the computer, knock out what I need to, because I know that at 12, I'm going to be sacrificing, a good chunk of time. So I like those kind of breaks. And as far as like, a break you take every day, like maybe a lunch break or something like that, like I like to kind of set goals. I like to say, all right, I'm going to take my lunch break, whether it's at 12, 12:30, 1, 11:30, whenever, but I'm not going to take it until I get this specific task completed. So, it could be I'm going to finish my script. Once my script is done, I'll take lunch. And then it kind of helps motivate me. Like I'm kind of like slow motion with stuff. Like if I don't have a deadline, like I'll wait until forever, or if I do have a deadline, I'll wait until like the day before or right before the deadline. Like, naturally. I mean, like these podcasts, right? Like I'm looking at this, we're like, okay, let's get on at 1:15 and record. Like I'm looking, it's like 12:50. I'm like, I got like 9 minutes, when really, we should be, 20 minutes, 30 minutes on before, getting prepared or whatever. But that's just for things in general. So I like to set goals, complete that task, then go take your lunch break. Or if you're going to be missing the next day because you're going to go for a walk or a hike, or for me, play basketball, I'm getting up early that day. I'm going to work extra hard for those hours and wait a lot more focused for that time period. And then, there's no guilt, right? Then you're happy to take a lunch break. Then, your 30-minute lunch break, well, I already finished all the work I need to do today. You could turn into an hour. Then you could do some reading or whatever. But what you said about the smartphone and stuff, like that will get you. Or even like, you're editing a video, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I want to download this image to drop into my video while you're editing, and then you go down this rabbit hole, you get lost, and you find yourself on YouTube watching videos, and like that's one of the risks of like being your own boss and working from home. So I do think the breaks are important, but I think for me personally, I like incentives.
I like that. The schedule as well, and kind of knowing what it means to be on track. Obviously, if I'm working for a client versus doing something for myself, I think it's easier to set those schedules and keep to those goals. Whereas if I'm working for myself, this is kind of where the more flowy breaks come into play. So like if I'm feeling distracted personally, then I'm just going to take a break. And sometimes you do just want to push through and like just put your phone down and get back to work. Instead of going on it. But it kind of depends, right? Again, working for somebody else, I think it's easier to be motivated and set schedules because you ultimately are accountable to somebody else. Whereas for yourself, you can kind of, you tend to flow with things more. At least I do. So this is where I'm giving people permission to kind of flow with your feelings, and if you're distracted, maybe there's a good reason. Maybe your brain is actually telling you the best way to solve this is to not actively work on this right now. And I've been experimenting with like my emotions are telling me something important and I should listen to them. I've been doing that a lot more recently, and this is kind of where it's gotten me right now. And I do find I'm on my phone a lot less. I waste less time. I end up doing the dishes instead of being on my smartphone. I end up reading an interesting book instead of being on social media. It's just a better way to spend your off time, so to speak. So I think that pretty much clears up the break during the workday. The next one I wanted to talk about is the short vacation. This is actually what inspired this episode. Augie and I were just talking about coming back from Thanksgiving, the long weekends and being with family. Point is, we weren't working for at least a few days. And this is a time where I think it's most important to just enjoy your life. If being with family is stressful for you, well, maybe this isn't going to work as well for Thanksgiving in particular. But in general, if you're going to take a short vacation, even if it's just a weekend or a long weekend, I think your only goal for utilizing your off time is to just enjoy yourself. And that can sound overly simple, but I think sometimes if you have a lot of goals, you do need to be able to give yourself permission to just kind of turn off and smell the roses. And even just having a few days where you are relaxed, at ease, you feel like you're enjoying the fruits of what you may have already accomplished. This can be really restorative and end up giving you energy in the long run. In some of the kind of more practical things here is you obviously want to be properly prepared. So, maybe get a little ahead on work. If you are taking time off that you normally don't, you might have to work a little bit more leading up to your short vacation. That's fine. And even, I think putting in a little extra effort beforehand, it helps justify, in my mind, taking some time off as well. So I think all that is really healthy. So I'm curious, Augie, what is your ideal short vacation? And how long is a short vacation to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say length time would be a 3 to 5 day vacation. I used to be a teacher, so kind of currently how I live my life is when the school's on break, I kind of take a break myself. So I really like the vacation setup that they have for teachers, with summers off. And obviously I'm not going to take summers off, but, summers off, a good amount of time, normally 2 weeks for Christmas, a week for Thanksgiving, a spring break in there. So I'm still kind of stuck in that mode, although I do still work during that time. But as a YouTuber, the beauty is that no one really ever knows if you take a vacation, if you set it up right? If you pre-record your videos or you get ahead, taking a week off is no big deal. I mean, this podcast, we have quite a few episodes lined up already in the tank. And last week it was Thanksgiving week, and we took the week off, and there was no issues there. And I think that should be one of the reasons you do want to stay ahead with your uploads and stuff, is so that when all of a sudden Thanksgiving comes, you can easily take a break. Not a big deal. And so, yeah, for me, you said a lot of good things about what should you do during this, and it's just enjoy yourself. In life, there's so much things that we stress ourselves out with and stuff. And if you're going to go on vacation, don't stress yourself out over anything. Just make sure you're grateful for that time, because that clock is ticking, right? And that vacation is going to end. So for me personally, it's all about family time. I do a lot of stuff. I do a lot of basketball coaching and running the business and stuff. And I'm kind of a busy guy at times, not as much anymore, but I'd miss out on some stuff with the family and stuff. And I know that time is limited. So for me, I just want to be with my family. I really enjoyed being with my wife's family over the summer. We went to a lake house all together, and we spent about a week in the lake house where you're basically just playing board games and going on the boat and going swimming. And that was one of the best vacations I've had.
Hey there. You probably know the Video Creator Show is brought to you by vidchops.com. What is vidchops.com? Well, it is an editing service that will take the horrible burden of editing off your back. We all know video editing. It's tedious. It takes forever. But what if you had a professional who did it for you? You go to sleep, you wake up, it's done. Wouldn't that be magical? vidchops.com. Hire a professional, save yourself time and energy, and take your YouTube channel to the next level. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'd love to see a video of you on one at some point.
Yeah.
Now, that's beautiful, man. Enjoy the time, enjoy your life. All that is so huge. If you can't enjoy your life, how are you going to enjoy your work? It's a simple idea, but it's really true, and it's really powerful. Just one thing I kind of wanted to add on to this is, be careful with the alcohol or weed or kind of any sort of substance you might usually use to relax during this time. Not saying don't do it or anything, but, if you overindulge, then you kind of, I don't think the goal of a vacation should ever be to escape. I think it should be to legitimately enjoy the time. That's not the same as escaping. So, for instance, if you feel the need to like be baked all day every day, or I don't know, just drinking a lot every night, or even just more than maybe you should, I think, you're going to not sleep as well. You're not going to be as restored. You're not going to be able to really process things properly because you're kind of always in this altered state of consciousness, or you're in it more than is healthy. And just in general, like, let yourself feel the feelings and process things. Sometimes, depending on where you're at, this can be easier said than done, but I did want to kind of tack this on. And then the last thing was, we talked about, you mentioned like you will sometimes work during a short vacation. For me, I think the goal should be don't work at all. Like, maybe answer some messages here and there if there's somebody who like needs input from you or something. But I would say if you have like pressure to work on something, then that can be dangerous. I mean, is there like I don't know, is there a way you decide what's worth doing during vacation or not? I'm just curious.
Yeah, for me personally, I just if there's anything major, I'll handle it. A funny story is the first year that I started VidChops, I started in September of 2017, and it was brand new. And by the time we got to Christmas, I might have had maybe 10, 15 clients, and at that time, it was me and maybe like one other editor that were editing all these videos. And so here comes Christmas. I didn't have any kind of days off planned for Christmas, as far as like telling our clients, hey, guess what, a month in advance, we're not going to be editing these days. And so we're going down south. We're going to go to Orange County to visit some family and stuff. And I had to bring my iMac. I brought this giant iMac in a box. And literally on Christmas morning, I woke up at 6 a.m. just so I could finish all my work for the day. I edited like 2 videos on Christmas Day, and delivered them, and then went to Christmas morning at like 9:30 in the morning. And I remember at that point, that was one of the turning points for me. I was like, okay, I need to set this up differently. I need to remove myself as an editor. And then, over time, now I need to remove myself as, the team lead. Okay, now I need to remove myself as operations manager. And I've just been able to kind of now finally be the CEO, where I can delegate all my tasks when it is holiday stuff. If we're not off for VidChops, I can actually take some time off while other people are completing some tasks. And we have the built-in holiday schedule and stuff now as well. So, our whole team gets days off and stuff for holidays. But as a young business owner, those are the kind of mistakes that you make, and you pay for them with your time. But like everyone knows, you have to sacrifice something if you want to achieve, some stuff in life. So I just look at that now and I'm like, okay, I sacrificed that one Christmas to kind of have what I have now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it sounds like you, even though you had to work during Christmas, like, at least for me, like, my family. Well, I usually don't wake up until 9:30 anyway. So by the time I would have woken up on Christmas, you were done with your work. Still sounds stressful, not ideal. Glad you changed it, but just wanted to throw you a props there. I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm a morning guy, so if there's anything like in my life where I'm like, oh wow, I'm not gonna have time to do that day, like I'll just wake up earlier. It's kind of just like a strategy that I've used for a super long time, because there was a time when I was coaching basketball, running VidChops, teaching full time, had 2 kids, and my life was super busy. And that's when I would get up super early, get to school, plan out what I needed to do for the day for school, and then work on VidChops, at lunch and after school. And it was just crazy times. Definitely would not go back to that time. But yeah, I mean, if you're a YouTuber, right, and you're going to go on a holiday, like I said before, you can literally set things up to where you can take a full break. It just depends on kind of what your background business is. Let's say you have a YouTube channel that fuels, let's say, a supplement company. You got a fitness channel, you sell supplements, you sell courses, training programs. I would definitely recommend, no matter really who you are, that you hire a VA, a virtual assistant, somebody that can just cover your email, cover any comment replies, make sure videos get uploaded, create your thumbnails. That's just a huge saver, because then you can remove yourself as a YouTuber. And yeah, you still might be your own editor. You might still, need to manage making sure the supplements and the courses are all set up and stuff. But the day-to-day tasks are really what kind of hurts you on vacation time, right? Like all the other stuff is kind of like one-off tasks that you have to do every now and then. Once a month, restock. Once a month, create a new course. Once a month, promote it. But the day-to-day emails, the day-to-day comments, the day-to-day publishing, repurposing, that's the kind of stuff that you should delegate.
Yeah, makes sense to me. And as far as being able to set everything up properly, that's huge. And I think that's the perfect segue into our next type of break, which is long vacation. The goal here is to recharge, whereas the goal of a short vacation is simply to enjoy the time. This, I think, is a little more existential, at least with my experience with long vacations. So when I take a long vacation, well, first, I would describe a long vacation as anything over a week. If you're taking like a week or 2 or even 3 off, I think there is a certain amount of rethinking that I always do. Sometimes it can correspond with a lot of tiredness. Like something isn't quite right. I need to take a long vacation, totally step back and figure out what is going on here. During this time, I always like to, I actually, ironically, will do work during this period, but only work that I'm passionate about. So this is like projects that are really close to my heart. So maybe I'll do some like writing for a totally new type of video, something I've never done before, but that it really excites me. I might just do a lot of reading. So this could be research for a video that I want to do. Or I could also do certain editing for a video. So this is that tends to be cutting edge editing. I'm downloading new plugins for Adobe Premiere. I'm learning new skills. These are things that I don't tend to want to do if I have a deadline, because learning these new things on the fly when you're trying to get something out, it can feel like, oh my God, this is taking so much time. Like if I just did things the way that I normally do them, I'm going to save time. But during these long vacations, I find this is the best time to kind of try new things, learn new skills, read interesting books, get new perspectives. And even do a little bit of work and figure out okay, what is my new passion? You can kind of start figuring out this new direction, at least the very beginnings of it. Is there anything I'm missing here?
Yeah, I mean, those are all good things, but I think if you're taking, even if it's a short vacation, long vacation, and you're a YouTuber and you're like, how can I be productive over this time? I think just video topics and maybe even titles is a great thing, because you can just be, a lot of times on vacation, you're just kind of laying on the couch and you're swiping, TikTok, or you're watching, there is a lot of phone time, at least for me when I'm on vacation, because I do unplug, at least from work, right? I'm not checking my email as much. I'm not doing all that kind of stuff. I'm not getting on calls. So come up with video topics. That's a great way to just on your phone, instead of swiping, just open up the Notes app or whatever app you want and start plugging in video topics. And also too, if you find yourself scrolling TikTok or watching YouTube videos, find inspiration, right? And when you find that inspiration, write it down, put it in the doc. And the next time you sit down to come up with video topics, now you have this database that you can easily just access and go with. So I have used that strategy on vacations before, or on a plane, right? You're on a plane, you got a 5-hour plane ride or a long drive. Let your mind wander a little bit, come up with video topics, come up with cool titles, try to find inspiration. I think those are all good things to do that aren't so stressful and taxing, right? You're just literally watching social media or letting the mind wander a little bit. And another thing you said kind of resonated with me, because I love doing that too. Not necessarily learning new things, although that is fun. On vacation, I would let myself, go down some more rabbit holes to learn new things. But I like to start new projects, even new projects that might never take off. But for example, I start as on vacation at my in-laws' house. I didn't start, but I built out all the branding and bought the domain name, built a website. This is years ago for a company I wanted to start called Dollar Lash Club. So Dollar Shave Club is the one that everyone knows, right? Dollar Shave Club. And I was like, there's got to be something for women. It's got to be a subscription like Dollar Shave Club. And my wife wears false eyelashes, and a lot of women do nowadays. And I was like, well, that's something that you got to throw away every 2 or 3 days. How could I, create a company for women that's for lashes, false lashes? And by the time that vacation was over, I went down the rabbit hole. I got all pumped on it. Like I said, built the website, built all this stuff out. I even ordered samples from China to test, and they turned out to be terrible, not usable. But that's basically where the whole story ended, is once I got those things, I got all discouraged, like, you can't, there's no such thing as a dollar lash. Like, I don't know how they get these razors for $1. I'm like, these lashes are so bad that like no one would ever buy them. So that's anyways. But yeah, I think coming up with ideas for videos or ideas for new products or ideas for, it's idea time for me.
Mm-hmm. And did you feel like you learned something from doing that? Because sometimes you do kind of have to put in a certain amount of effort into an idea before you decide it's not worth doing. And then in doing that, like, do you feel like you ended up taking some of that knowledge and applying it to something that did work?
Yeah, I think I learned that, hey, you can't get lashes for under $1 that are of decent quality. So that's one thing I learned. And also, every time you build a website, every time you edit a video, every time you do anything, I mean, unless it's just like assembly line type stuff you're doing, you do learn, right? So, I mean, there was trials and tribulations as I was going to build out the website and buy the domain name. There's all kinds of things that didn't go right that I overcame. So, it's just another kind of check in the checkbox as far as, honing your skills. It's almost like working out, right? It's like, well, if you want to be a good website designer or you want to be a good whatever, like, you can't just do it once. Like, if you want to lose 10 pounds, you can't just work out once. So I think it's just like the repetition. And it's the same thing we talk about on YouTube all the time on this podcast, right? Like, your first few videos are going to suck. Eventually, they're going to get better and better and better. So that's kind of the thing is just keep doing it and you're going to get better.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And I feel like for me, what's most important with long vacations is to kind of like rekindle what I actually like, because we're always changing, we're always growing. And sometimes what you like, what you're interested in, what you have time for, what you're willing to give your time to changes. And sometimes it can take some self-reflection to figure out what direction things have actually gone in. If you don't take enough time to think about what you actually want, you can end up kind of running in one direction and wasting a lot of energy doing things that you don't want to do. So like when you realized, I don't want to be an editor for VidShops anymore, like that's a perfect example of a thing where, you pulled back, kind of hired somebody else, and you were able to kind of reorganize your time. You realized, I don't like being an editor for VidShops anymore. Now I want to hire somebody else and kind of manage them. And this is just going to be better for myself, for my company, for everything. And sometimes long vacations are good for realizing those types of things. And just being creative with it, thinking outside the box. You mentioned you like to let your mind wander. I think that's huge. Like, if you give yourself to let your mind wander, then you might come up with something that you otherwise would not have. So, yeah, any last thoughts about long vacations?
No, just, if you are a YouTube creator, and we can talk more about this at the end, and you're going on a long vacation, it's okay to miss an upload. It's not going to kill you. I think you were the one that told me that you like to look at YouTube as far as taking breaks and stuff. Is it's okay because YouTube's going to look at every video as an individual video, and they're going to judge that as an individual video. That was you, right? Or was someone else said that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm pretty sure. And so
That was me.
yeah, so taking breaks, I think, and missing uploads, like, I think that's fine.
Yeah, that is very good. I maybe one issue with this episode is we're acknowledging how to take a break, but not necessarily some of the realities. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because yes, with these long vacations, you might need to work a little less overall. You can't necessarily prepare for all of the work you're going to miss, and that's okay. But with that, I think it's time to move on to the biggest break of all, the indefinite hiatus. This is a reboot for your operating system. So all the previous breaks, are important in their own way. This one is an epic break. This is a transformative journey that you need. I mean, I needed it. I have certainly needed this at times in my life. By the way, this didn't mean I didn't work at all. It just meant, like, I took a break from YouTube indefinitely, and I was finding other ways to make money. So this might be the end of an era, or perhaps an existential crisis. You can no longer continue with what you are doing, or at least you can't keep doing it in the way that you were doing it. This is, you're not done with YouTube, but you can't see yourself doing it right now, and you don't know how long it's going to take for you to do it again. Here, it's important to give yourself permission to not ever come back, actually. I think that's a sad thing to think about, but also, if you put too much pressure on yourself to heal and to get rid of your burnout or whatever, you're going to end up staying burned out for longer, ironically. So the indefinite hiatus is really about being willing to have it be indefinite. Maybe it's not going to work out. So, like with Treesicle, I worked on it really hard for 7 years. March of 2020, I just took a very long break, didn't release a video on it for almost a year. And then after that, I think I released a video 3 months later. And then after that, I released a video almost a year later. And then another video like 3 weeks after that. So, there was basically a year break that I took. Almost a 2-year break, really, with like the occasional upload in between. But the point is, like, I wasn't making a living off my creativity. I was kind of using my skills to help other people build their YouTube channels as a freelancer. That's how I made my money. And I let myself breathe. I let my creative engine, so to speak, I finally let it rest for the first time in 7 years. And I had to do that. So, Augie, you've talked about, Baller Bootcamp and kind of being done with that. What is it about the indefinite hiatus that makes it necessary sometimes? And how can somebody who's listening to this decide, is this for me? Is it time for me to go on an indefinite hiatus?
Well, I will start by saying it's a very slippery slope, because you feel tired, you feel like you want to take a break, but you need to realize that if you do take a break, that there is a chance that you will never come back. And that's kind of a tough pill to swallow at the time, maybe. But it's just something that I would warn everybody, because honestly, like, I wish I was still uploading there. And I wish that, I wouldn't have quit on it altogether. And I do pray for a day that I will be able to come back and upload more onto that channel. Now, with that said, the question, how do you know it is time? Well, what's next? If there is something next, then it is a good time to take a break or a hiatus, or even to quit uploading. For me, there was something that was next. It was VidChops. I saw the writing on the wall. Everything in my life was kind of lining up to VidChops and lining away from Baller Bootcamp. My camera woman, my wife, she was working full time. She didn't have time to go shoot videos anymore. Gym time was a lot harder to get for me at the time. I wasn't playing professionally anymore, so I didn't have a gym where I could just go access all the time. I didn't have so much time on my hands to where, when I was living in Europe and I was uploading all these videos, because I would record them all in the summer. I'd live in Europe for about 9 months out of the year while I was playing my season, and edit them once a week, plenty of time, create some products, plenty of time, run the whole back end business for Baller Bootcamp, plenty of time. When I came back, it was a little bit different. There's more pressure to get a job. There was more pressure. And although I was still making solid money with it, it was just kind of like my basketball playing career was over. Do I want to be a full-time trainer for the rest of my life? I didn't think that was where I wanted to go, because I just imagined myself at like 54 years old trying to be a basketball trainer. And I talked to a few people and they'd said, it's a pretty hard living actually, to go and train kids try to find outdoor courts and gym time, and everyone's kind of, new competition coming in all the time, new trainers. So for me, yeah, I was just like, I'm going to come back. I'm going to make videos again. Let me just go focus on VidShops a little bit. My ultimate goal with everything was to have a successful online business, a 7-figure business, something like that, to where, I can make a good amount of money, and it's something that was long-term. So that's what I would ask. If you're going to take a break and you're at risk of never coming back, just ask yourself what's next. And if there's nothing next, if there's nothing that you're interested in next, and you're like, well, I'm just going to go work at Circle K and I don't know, then I would say, well, hey, hold up now. If you have some success here on YouTube, Circle K, the grass is always greener on the other side, right? Like you might think, oh, that's so stress-free. All you got to do is clock in, clock out, whatever. Make sure that you just take some time to think about your decision. And, you always can come back. It's just, I think for me personally, I haven't. I don't know about you. I know you still upload semi-regularly, but I think you would agree too that it's a lot harder. Like, I don't know if you'll ever see yourself, maybe that's a question I'm asking you now. Do you ever see yourself going back full time with Treecicle?
No, I don't. I do see myself coming back to YouTube full time at some point,
Nice.
like with a different channel, but not with Treecicle in particular. And I think that's kind of the philosophical question here, because you mentioned like you wish that you were still uploading to Baller Bootcamp, and yet you're not. And there's these other really cool things that you have spent your time on. And I feel the same way. I wish that I could have kept uploading on Treecicle, but the reality of it was I couldn't. Like, it just wasn't. I don't know. I was missing the key ingredients, and I had to do something else. Like, it is dangerous to take a break in the sense that, yeah, you might never come back. You may never be full time again. But that could be a good thing because there's new horizons.
Yeah.
And this was, for me, it was like a breath of fresh air when I finally stopped. I think if if that's how you feel when you stop, then it's probably the right decision. And you may end up making more videos than you otherwise would have if you were constantly stressing yourself out, trying to push through the burnout and never stopping. Ironically, maybe you just aren't meant to do full-time Treecicle or Baller Bootcamp again. That's okay. Maybe just the occasional upload is what you're capable of. And that's fine.
Yeah. And also too, everyone creates videos for different reasons. Like, for me, kind of my whole story of how I got all involved with YouTube and just online stuff in general is I wanted to play basketball in Europe when I came out of college. I was willing to play for $0. I just wanted to get over there, get my foot in the door. So I started thinking, well, how could I afford to go over there and live and play for $0? Well, I can't get a job because I don't speak German. Well, I don't have a work visa, so I couldn't get a job. So that's kind of, well, how do I make money? And lo and behold, I did that Google search that so many people do, how to make money online. And eventually, after, spending money on this course and losing money here and losing money here, lo and behold, I fall on this $7 PDF. It was called YouTube Domination. And this was back in 2009. And And I'm like, okay, there's this thing called YouTube, and the first things that I ever did on YouTube, was total spam videos. I was that guy creating the videos where you click on it, you think you're about to watch a video, and then it's just an image and it says click the link in the description. Like I don't even think those
Oh, wow.
I don't even think those things even exist anymore. I think that if you try to upload a video like that, I think that YouTube's tech has gotten so good that it'll just automatically just ban your channel. But back then, like, you could upload like hundreds of those videos, and I had hundreds of channels, and I could easily rank a video for, like, what was the guy, Kimbo Slice, right? Like Kimbo Slice was like this guy back then that was like doing street fights and stuff, kind of a meme now. Anyways, I could just, so that's how I did make some money doing that, and I'm not proud of it. Like I said, it was spam. I was 22 years old, just trying to make a buck online, and I did make some money. And what I'm trying to say is my whole YouTube journey was always predicated around the fact that I wanted to make money and start a business and that. So like I've always been on the business side of this thing. So not everyone creates videos for that reason, right? Like, so if you are just creating them for fun, yeah, it feels good to get views and stuff, but it's okay to take a break. Like taking a break then is like even more acceptable, I feel like. And if you're doing it for that reason, I feel like you have a lot more longevity in your career on YouTube. When, for me personally, as soon as I started to see the views go down, the dollars go down, it was like so demotivating for me that it was part of the reason that I just kind of stopped. So, yeah, I mean, as far as, at Vid Summit, the conference, Ryan Trahan, the guy who he did a video every day for 30 days, traveling across the U.S., on a penny, traded a penny for a pen, traded a pen for $1, something like that. His whole speech was about longevity because he went through the grind, right? He did the one video every day for 30 days, and these were some vlogs, they're hard. And that was his advice, was longevity. So if you're listening to this right now and you're feeling discouraged and you want to take a break, but come back and continue.
Definitely. And I think, again, coming back to that idea of like being off, like what does it mean to be off as opposed to on? For me, it is about like being productive or thriving in ways that don't necessarily pertain to your career. So, for instance, cultivating your personal life. Maybe if you're single or you're married or whatever, there's probably something you can do to feel like you're more part of a community or that your existing relationships are better. Maybe you need to have certain conversations with people. Maybe you need to get out there more. Maybe you need to get on a dating app. Maybe you need to update your dating profile. Whatever it is, like there's things you can do to kind of cultivate your personal life. A big thing I did recently was I moved. I moved from San Diego to Portland, Oregon. It's the city is more my speed. I do miss my friends in San Diego, but ultimately I think the culture here is better for me than the culture in San Diego. Again, like I have cheaper rent, so that kind of takes the pressure off, allows me to make more long-term decisions instead of like, how am I going to pay for rent this month, or worrying I'm dipping into my savings too much, whatever. This move was good for my personal life. I, found somebody up here who I never would have found in San Diego. She's great. She's my girlfriend. I feel really good having her in my life. And all these things I feel like are adding to my life and allowing me to do better in my career, even though they have nothing to do with my career. And just cultivate your personal life. That's some big advice for this indefinite hiatus. Some other just kind of quick things like sleep. Prioritize sleep as much as you can. If you don't have a reason to wake up at 6 a.m., maybe just sleep in a bit. At least sometimes. I mean, geez, like, if you have to be awake, like if you have kids or something, that's one thing. But I think sometimes we kid ourselves like, I gotta be super productive Ultraman. I'm gonna wake up at sunrise, and that's gonna be better than if I sleep until 10:30. Maybe you need some sleep, dude. Just that's one thing I did during my hiatus. And finding inspiration. Read books, find TV shows that you actually care about. Like if you can watch something or read something or just enjoy a story or something of some kind, that is going to remind you that you are capable of making something that matters. Because if something matters to you, then you are going to feel like, oh, well, this is what matters to me. Maybe I could make something that matters to somebody else. Like for me, that was very freeing. With Treesicle, I was constantly analyzing video games or TV shows or whatever, and that kind of sucked the joy out of watching or playing games. And then when I finally took a break, I was finally able to like enjoy stories in TV and video games again. That was really healing for me. So just in general, like cultivate your inspiration, your personal life, these kind of non-career things that ultimately may benefit your career.
Yeah, I think that's all good advice. And the thing that stuck with me the most was, and something I talk about is like, what is your dream life? Most people don't even think about like, if you could just say, forget everything, like if I could do it my way, what would my life look like? How much would I work? How much would I play? How much money would I make? Where would I live? Who would be in my life? Like if you like wrote out on a document your dream life, it's not always achievable, but then go after that. Like go, whatever that is, just go after that. And that's something that I've been working towards for a long time. And, like I said, it's probably been over 10 years now that I've been trying to create a successful online business. And with VidChops, I finally have it. And I feel like I'm getting closer to my dream life because of that. Because I get a coach, even though you make no money coaching. I make like, $2,000 a year doing that. But I get to do that because of VidChops, because it's a business that I get to run myself, to where I kind of get to call the shots, create my own schedule. I have 2 kids. I live directly across the street from the high school that I coach at. So we just walk over to the gym whenever we want. I can take my kids over there. I can walk over to practice. It's just that everything's kind of lining up. Although, it's life. Things are going to go wrong and there'll be challenges and stuff. But I think for you, if you're listening to this, what is your dream life? And then start just designing your life to do that. Maybe you do have to stay up late to work on your YouTube channel. But, that's the time you're going to sacrifice now to kind of live your dream life in the future. And, that's my advice.
Mm-hmm. It's good advice. I like it. Also, that's cool. You live right across the street from the high school you coach at. That is convenient. Oh my God. Especially when you were a teacher. I mean, dang, dude, that's the best commute you could possibly have.
Yeah, it's nice. And we just lucked out on it too, because, and here's another little thing is like, if you live your life the right way, you'll get lucky more often than not. Like what we did is we were living in an apartment and it got flooded, and we called the landlord and they sent this old guy over to fix everything, and he was old. And so I was like, you know what? He's like, no, you don't have to do anything. I helped him. I did everything, at the end, the landlord, what do we owe you? I'm like, you don't owe me anything. I live here. Like, come to find out, when we try to get this house, the landlords here were super picky. They weren't accepting anybody. But they called our old landlord. They put in the good word that I had done that, just that simple thing. And they approved us immediately. We got a great deal on this house. Eventually, we bought it because our landlord was like, we like you guys. I see you're taking care of the lawn. I see you're doing all this. Do you want to buy it? And so, it's, if you do the right things, you get lucky, things fall into place. And that's just kind of what I've seen in this crazy game called life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. If you're living true to yourself, things they have a way of opening up and working out in kind of cosmically strange ways.
Yeah.
Lucky is another word for it that I think sums it up well. No, I think that's kind of a perfect note to end on, talking about indefinite hiatuses, because if you are doing what you need to do and what you ultimately want to do in a productive way, then the hiatus could end up making, even though it feels weird taking a step back for a long time, it could produce a kind of strange luckiness that you did not see coming. So kind of a spooky, beautiful note to end on. With that, I guess, we'll wrap it up here, huh? So taking a break. Being off is just as important as being on. You want to utilize your off time so that you can properly utilize your on time. So the kinds of breaks are taking a break during the workday. Do something that resets your brain. Don't look at your smartphone. I still struggle with this too. Don't get me wrong. But, reading, exercising, going for a walk, meditating, doing the dishes. Augie likes to plan his breaks. I can do that when I'm working for clients. Then there's short vacations. Just enjoy your life on those. My general advice. Long vacations, you got to recharge. And then the indefinite hiatus, that's kind of the existential what's next type of break. And with that, I think we've talked about the off time there. Anything I'm missing?
No, I think that's all good there, man. I just hope that if you listen to this whole episode all the way through, that you picked up something that's going to help you with your mental health and just you creating videos.
Yep, so true. And, if you made it this far, also check out vidshops.com. It helps take the burden of editing off your back. Augie talked about it. It's a big, thriving company of his, and he does a good job. Hire editors to, streamline your process. But, not to end this on an ad, but I guess we are ending it. I just wanted to throw that out there. Because it's I think it also is weirdly a good example because you took a step back and realized, hey, I want to change from Baller Bootcamp to VidShops, and I mean here you are running a successful business. I think this is kind of the perfect example of the importance of breaks and the importance of taking a step back. So just saying, he's living it, and we're out here trying to help you out. So with that, we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.